Who's ever wished that you had people saying yes when you're making a sale? Anybody like that? That you got more yeses, yeah? Who'd like to go out at a party and maybe meet the right person and have them strike up a conversation with you? Yeah, absolutely, all of us, yeah. And so in order to do that, you need one important ingredient, and it's called influence. That's the ability to get more people to say yes. And there was a guy by the name of Robert Cialdini. He was I guess he was a researcher, and he discovered that there's actually 6 principles in order to influence people. 6 principles that will allow you to make an impact. Now today I'm only got enough time to talk about one of those, but I'll go through them quickly so that you understand what they are. The first one's called reciprocity. Does anyone know what that means? Reciprocity?
Yeah.
You know, we have a saying in Australia, I scratch your back, you scratch mine. Now, obviously it's a metaphor. It doesn't literally mean, okay, scratching each other's backs. It basically means that if I do something for you, you'll do something for me. It's a sense of obligation. You know, in some cultures, this whole thing is actually built into it, and I'll talk about a little bit about that later. The next one is scarcity. When there's less of something, we want it more. You know, if there's only 20 tickets left for a concert, we'll go out and we'll pay whatever it takes in order to buy those tickets. Yeah. There was a case where, do you remember the Concorde? The Concorde was the fastest plane in the world. It would take like 6 hours or so to cross the Atlantic between New York and England. And eventually the Concorde was just too expensive to maintain, too expensive to run, not enough seats, a little bit cramped, but it was fast. And so when they were decided we're going to cut the Concorde, all of a sudden the sales just went through the roof. People wanted it more because they knew that this was the last chance to get it. And that's what scarcity is. Authority is when somebody's wearing a uniform, has a certain authority, right? You're more likely to follow somebody, to say yes to someone, to follow their instructions if they're dressed in a uniform. And there's a whole lot of examples of that. The next one is consistency. We like to agree to the things we've agreed to. So in sales, now, a couple of people here in sales, who's been in sales? Yeah? You start getting people to agree on simple things, right? Things that you know they're going to say yes to. So, you like being here in Australia? Yes. And you think it's one of the great countries in the world? Yes. Fantastic. Now, pay some taxes. Yes, we all like paying tax. Now, so if you can get people to agree to one yes, chances are they're more likely to agree to the following yeses. Okay? And that's consistency. Liking is people will follow you, will say yes to you, will do what you ask them to do if they like you. Number one, but what does that mean? I guess people go, well, what do you mean by like? That's my problem. How do I get people to like me, right? All right, number one, people will like you if you have things in common. They'll like you if you compliment them, if you tell them how wonderful, smart, beautiful, intelligent they are. And I'll leave the third one for later. And the last one is consensus. Consensus means that people are more likely to do the thing that the majority is already agreed to do. Okay? So, for instance, they tried this out in some hotels where they said, would you mind reusing your towel for the environment? You know, a few people complied, you know, about 10-15% complied. But when they said other people, 75% of our guests have reused their towels, then all of a sudden you go, well, I'm not going to be the guy or the girl who who just throws my towel on the floor and expect them to wash it. I'm going to reuse it like 3/4 of the other guests. Now, when they said 3/4 of the guests who stayed in this room have reused their towels, it went up even more. So people follow the crowd, and that's what the consensus is all about. I wanted to talk about reciprocity because this is a really cool thing, you know, it's a simple thing to do, and in fact in some cultures it's even built in. I want to tell you a story about it for starters. You see, I had a friend of mine who's been to Papua New Guinea. He was working there. Now in Papua New Guinea, not only do they have reciprocity, they have it built into their culture. They call it one talk, right? And it's a payback system, which is kind of like, it's kind of like reciprocity, but on steroids, and it can be good, and it can also be really bad. Like if you accidentally kill one of their animals, and that's exactly what happened to my friend. He was driving down a dirt road, and he ran over these family's dog. Now you can imagine, you know, a whole tribe of people coming out and crying and pulling their hair and going, "Ah, my dog, my dog." And so he thought, I'm dead, they're going to kill me. But instead they came up to him and said, no, no, no. One talk, pay us. Pay us for the fact that you killed our dog. So he goes, oh, I'm glad they haven't wanted to kill me. That's great. So he pulled out his wallet, pulled some money out. They're going, more. Obviously that dog was worth a lot to them. And he's getting a little bit upset. But he looked around and realized he was surrounded by big, sort of heavy-set men, so he wasn't going to argue with them. So he just pulled another, and they just said more. So he pulled up another bill, and they were satisfied. They were satisfied that there was, you know, a payback system, reciprocity. And so he thought, man, that's a very expensive dog. So he decided to do something really weird, right? He picks up the dead dog and puts it on the back of his truck. And they go, no, 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 don't do that. I said, it's my dog. Yeah. I paid for it. Yeah. So I'm taking it. Yeah. I said, no, no, it's our dog. No, no, I paid you for this, so now it's mine. Yeah. And I'm going to take it. So they ended up giving him the money back. They got their dog back. So reciprocity. But reciprocity in our culture, in Australian culture, means that if I do you a favor, you're more likely to do a favor back to me. If I invite you to a party, then chances are you'll invite me to a party. If I give you a gift, you know, that's the scary part. We're coming up to Christmas now, and you don't know who's going to send you a Christmas card. So what I normally have is a bag full of empty Christmas cards, right? And then when someone gives me a Christmas card, I go, oh. So I pick one up and I'll write on it, right? And give one back, because that's reciprocity. That's the power of reciprocity.